Well, hello there. Thank you for checking out my school radio. My name is Gary Keene, or as a lot of people know me, Wild Bill Austin. I spent 20 years in the radio business, and now it's my turn to give back. I've learned how to create my own radio station, and now I'm going to show you how you can create your own radio station for your school. That's right. Your school can have its very own professionally designed digital radio station built specifically around your students, family, faculty, activities, and the community. Now, this is much more than just a service, okay? This is actually a school-wide communication system. It's a student learning opportunity. It's a source of school pride. It's potentially even a funding tool, right? So imagine parents while driving to work, okay, picking up their children, listening to the radio station. Between songs, okay, they're going to be able to hear things such as updates on parent teacher conferences, upcoming ball games, testing dates, school closings, concerts, fundraisers, lunch information, or important messages from the principal. So instead of hoping that families see another email or a social media post, or Lord forbid, we're still sending notes home with the students, right? The school now has an actual additional engaging way to keep everybody informed. So the station can feature daily school announcements, upcoming events, calendar reminders, principal and teacher messages, right? About students or reminders, athletic schedules, who's playing in the game, scores, player interviews. If you want to broadcast the game for high school, that's something you can do. Band, choir, theater, academic programs, all can be played on the radio. Student teacher spotlights, right? Honor roll and achievement recognition. Clubs can have their own, right? Announcements, organizational updates, right? And high school, we're offering the chance to actually do voice tracking. Voice tracking is where the student actually becomes a DJ. They'll have a radio station set up in your school, and it can even be in a little tiny closet. Doesn't have to be a big room, with its own computer and a microphone, and they will be able to insert voice tracks into their programming, and they can even have their own shows, supervised, of course. But again, it's digital radio. And so the FCC doesn't govern, so you don't have to worry about if a student does something bad getting banned, right? Or say something by accident, or a parent in the background, at a game, sports game, yells out a profanity or something, right? It's not governed by the FCC, so you don't have to worry about that. You could talk about honor roll, achievement recognition. Um, there's so many things that you can do with your own radio station. And again, we're talking about lunch menus, transportation reminders, weather information, when class projects are due, when the school contests, right? Trivia contests, parent teacher organization messages, right? You want to do live from the parent teacher conference? If you're a high school, something you can do. If you want to cover the graduation or a reunion, right? A reunion, you can cover that. You could do community service announcements, sponsor recognition and fundraising promotions, right? Talk about how you're raising money and the band's raising money to go to Disneyland, right? Every station can be actually customized around the individual school. It can have your school's own individual mascot. For instance, what if your school was the Dirty Bird, which is the name of one of my radio stations? It plays pop music. You could have Dirty Bird Radio or whatever your mascot is, right? Um, we will work with you to help brand your individual station so that you do get a really killer, because you need a killer identity. And the reason that I produce killer identities is because I love advertising, and Keen Advertising is my business. And I come up with themes for businesses all the time. And this is something I love to do. We'll make sure we've got your individual name, your colors of your mascot, your voice, music format that you want. If you want, your format to play different genres of music, we can work on that. That is an option. But that's a lot of work. So, the more that you customize your radio station, the more work that it's actually going to be, which means that there can be costs along with that. So the biggest connection to my school radio is how it can connect administrators with families, teachers, students, athletic programs with supporters. Because if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter, right? The entire school with its surrounding community can get involved with this radio station, and it gives the station a way to recognize good things that happen every day too, right? Students can be congratulated for academic success, athletic achievement, good citizenship, improved, attendance, artistic talent, community service. Those are things that all can give recognition. When they do voice tracking in high schools, they can actually do student interviews with the athletes. My school radio for high schools is a student activity where they can learn to write announcements, record interviews, produce podcasts, create promotions, report school news, conduct sports interviews, host their own programs. If I could give you anything out of this presentation, what I want you to understand is that this program empowers students with confidence, with amazing skills, speaking skills, right? This is an exceptional learning and growing opportunity because students will be able to broadcast or podcast or live stream their Call of Duty or whatever they play, right? We teach all of that. I teach all of that. So this is a great basis to be able to become a content creator on YouTube or wherever. Create podcasts, create promotions, right? If your school is having a promotion where you're selling candy bars, why not talk about it on the radio? So there's a lot of things I think that can be beneficial about this program. The most beneficial thing is that it's very inexpensive. Okay. You're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars each year to have your own radio station by the FCC. And you're not paying tens of thousands of dollars a month for music. And you're not paying people to actually have to show up and do a radio show. You're going to have students that will be able to volunteer and do this stuff. So ask me, we will come up with a special package depending upon whatever you want to create for your school. And how the students can learn broadcasting, journalism, public speaking, interviewing. There's so many great things, marketing, right? Learn how to use social media and teamwork and leadership skills. Just come with this whole entire package. Glad to talk to you about station promotion, about fundraisers, about ticket sales, special event concessions, merchandise, all other money making programs. So, for example, a local business might sponsor the athletic update, right? Or the student spotlight, or the school lunch report. Maybe a restaurant where the kids go after school to get pizza, right? May want to do the school lunch before, right? Report. And then remind those students they can get their $2 a slice, right? Weekly contests, helping with the school, put the word out. This is what you need, right? And here's the incredible thing is my school radio offers different service levels. So school doesn't have to purchase a full, huge amount. There is setup costs, and we'll talk about that. But the school essentials package begins at only $299 a month. And that is in itself a deal. That provides the school with its own station, featuring school information, announcements, family-friendly music, customized programming. I'm working on right now developing children's music, which are happy children's tunes and not the type that you will see on a Saturday morning cartoon. But if you want licensed music to be able to play the Beatles and other music, that would be $4.99 per month. So it's very inexpensive to have to have your own radio station, even with licensed music. All right. Because I worked with people and with companies to put this together specifically for schools. So you're not going to be paying $8,000 to play the music. All right. I've got it all for you for less than $500 a month if you want commercially licensed music. iSchools can add the student broadcasting package. Okay. I'll provide the tools, provide the structure, provide the training for the students, and we can even do a school app for the radio station. That's extra. We can do tune-in distribution, which is not really needed, but it's an option. And so the complete package is less than $900 a month. Well, it's more than that, but we discount it to $899 a month. And the reason that we do that is because we want to try to help out a little bit. So we would do an onboarding process designed to launch your school. It's actually pretty simple. We would meet with you. We learn about your goals, your audience, your activities, your mascot, the colors, the preferences, the communication needs. We'll create the station's identity. We'll come up with branding. We will come up with a programming plan. We'll collect the school's initial announcements, recorded messages, and promotional information, what we call evergreen announcements, which are continual announcements. We'll build and organize the station. We'll produce the opening announcements. We'll prepare it for launch. We'll train the appropriate school staff, which is not going to be hard. And when included students, we'll train those too on how to submit information and create programming. And finally, we'll launch the station and we'll provide continuing support, updates, guidance. The school doesn't have to become a professional radio company. We're going to handle all the technical foundation. So administrators, teachers, all you have to do is record an announcement and put it in the jukebox. Students can do it. Anyone can do it. It's not that difficult. So the possibilities are endless with this. And there's probably a lot of stuff I haven't even thought of. But a station could begin with just music and basic announcements. And then later they can add interviews and podcasts or, broadcasting, live broadcasting and community broadcasting and apps and all that, But to get started, there's a one-time setup fee. But after that, a radio station for your school, less than $300 a month. And I'm the only person in America that's going to be able to tell you about this because it took me 3 years to learn how to do all of this. And nobody is going to be able to do this for you in less than 3 years of all the research and everything that I put into it. So if you want your students to develop skills, you want families to feel more connected, you want a school with a story, you want, something where every student has an opportunity to be heard, where you can brag about your school, your own school's voice, the purpose of My School Radio. That's what we do. I would welcome the opportunity to talk to you more about your school radio or My School Radio, show you exactly what customized station could sound like. Talk about the possibilities and just, find out what you want. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But, I can teach and can work with students. I have professional radio DJs with Wild Bill Austin University. That's my university, who can work with students to give students a hand up or a little bit of a coaching session. So thank you very much for checking out My School Radio. I kind of did this off the cuff, so please, don't feel that because I didn't have a perfect presentation that this isn't a perfect program. It really is wonderful, and I will love to be able to help you and your school and your community. Something to give back. Radio was good to me. I've met a lot of great people, famous artists. I had a wonderful time in radio, and that's why I decided to start the university. That's why I decided to start 102 The Peach, WBAU. You're more than welcome to check out that radio. Go to BillAustinMedia.com, look for the Bill Austin Radio Network, because that's where you will see your school. Eventually, I will have a network of all the schools, so you can click on a website and you will see your child. If your child's in elementary school or middle school or high school, you'll be able to click on their school. Schools will be able to click on other schools and find out what they're doing, right? And who knows? We might even come up with something like Wild Bill's Awards, where we give school awards for the most creative mascot or the most creative radio name or the most participation. Who knows? We may come up with some type of organization that, or committee, or I just might give out awards, which means we would give out maybe scholarships. How about that? All righty. Just thinking off the top of my head, but if you have any ideas or comments, let me know. My number's area code 304-982-3431. That's Bill Austin Media. You can connect me live on my personal cell phone at 304-541-7357. I'd like to tell you more. I'd like to talk more. Get in touch with me, and let's hope that someday you'll have my school radio.